We're also some laws are trying to increase or have increased the number of legal parents for one child. You can have 3 parents now or more. In some provinces, governments are already infringing on the educational rights of parents through compulsory school courses in ethics or religious culture, for example. That's happening in Quebec. It's compulsory, you have no choice. Catholic schools have to teach it, everybody has to teach it. And it's teaching about all religions, it's very relativist. That's my Quebec. Relativist, I can't say that word in English, relativistic. Anyhow, so we also see increased efforts by some to silence free speech and attempts to violate the freedom of conscience of healthcare workers, medical professionals. Many other areas need our attention, including fiscal policies that penalize single-income families, and policies for economic development that favor the rich and hurt the poor. In 2010, this is another issue for that's should cause us to be worried. In 2010, a new XXX domain was approved on the internet, while pornography addictions keep growing among young and not so young Canadian men. So our society, as we know, is hyper-sexualized. I heard this week about sextos. I don't know if you've heard about sextos, but sextos are textos that people send with a webcam, for example, with very provocative poses or whatever. And so these are sent, let's say a girl sends that to her boyfriend, and then they break up. And the guy puts this on the web, and it's on the internet across the world for everybody to see. So they have suicides now. Kids are, young girls, teenagers, they can't live with that, So we live in a hyper-sexualized world, you know that. So anyhow, I could go on, and I'm sure we have many, you would have many other examples. But let's turn the page and not be so negative. But all this to say that most people don't realize the impact of all this on our lives, and most people don't realize that all the choices and all the decisions made by our governments and our courts, sooner or later, have an impact directly on our families, on every family, our own families. So most people stand on the sidelines, not understanding that it takes the personal involvement of individual citizens in order to build civil society. So too many people in Canada today, including Catholics, seem really indifferent to events that are slowly shaping our country, our lives, and our future. But for Catholics, there's no place for neutrality. There's no place for silence, excuses, discouragement, and fear. Overcoming apathy and indifference is a must today. We are constantly challenged by events, by people. We must embrace our civic responsibilities in a spirit of service, of course, and with unity of life. We will talk about that in a few minutes. All the baptized have a responsibility to play an active role in the democratic process and to be present where public opinion and the future are being shaped in order to infuse Christian perspective into the cultural, social, economic transformations in our society. So it's our job to share our views to the best of our ability with the media and with our elected representatives. in order to protect the rights of the person and the rights of the family. Pat O'Brien, I don't know if he's here tonight, he said he would try to come, but he couldn't make it. But he was in politics, and some of you may know him, and he did fantastic work in Ottawa. And so he would, when I told him, I met him on the plane this morning coming to London, I said, you know all that I'm going to say, Pat, you don't need to come. Anyhow, so when I'm talking about getting involved and yes, and getting in contact with our MPs and, you know, trying to influence the media, it can only, sometimes it's just a few lines that you write to your local media or to the National Post or whatever, the Globe and Mail, and you never know where that will go. It can have an impact on other people's lives. So aside from getting involved in election campaigns, some of you may have done that, families can also take part in the public life by engaging, as I just mentioned, their political representatives in the ongoing public dialogue on pressing social issues. For example, you can as an individual, as an individual citizen, you can contribute to promoting the common good by, of course, supporting and encouraging your elected representatives in political office. But you can also go and meet them and talk to them. They're not enemies, they're friends. They want to hear from you. So that's important. So if you have on any issue thoughts or beliefs and you think they should know because they're representing you, go and meet them, write to them, call them. Also, you can write, as I mentioned before, a letter to the media, but you can also, when you have, for example, what has happened in Quebec now, and it was true also in Ottawa when Bill C-384 was being debated, you can write briefs to, even if a brief is 1 page or 2 pages, you can write what you think, or a well-documented letter to one of your elected representatives, and you can send it by mail. Emails apparently are not very effective. So you can also participate in the creation of political party platforms and programs. You can propose candidates in various ridings. You can, during the campaign, the election campaign, you must become informed about the major issues, study each party's platform with a critical eye, and in light of the Church's social doctrine. And if you haven't read the compendium of the social doctrine of the Church, I really encourage you to do so. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. And I would say pray. Pray for your elected representatives. They need your support, that kind of support also. Many people, I realize, don't follow the news. They don't know what's happening in the world. So it's very important to follow news reports and to stay informed on issues that will affect society and your own life and your own family's life. Many people now are blogging. I'm sure many of you blog. And so that's a way of becoming your own media and having your own ideas out there. You don't have to wait for somebody else to write what you think. You do it yourself. So these are just some examples of ways of getting involved.